Hello, everyone. I decided that I am going to do a podcast for today, and then I'll wait till next week after we've had some more college, NBA, NFL games to talk about next week. But some news came out recently in college basketball that I wanted to talk about. And it's some news on a start date. So they're going to be starting November 25th, which is the day before Thanksgiving. So it's basically they're starting a couple weeks later than they normally do, because they usually start at the beginning of November. So the minimum games a team can play before being eligible for the March Madness tournament is 13, and the maximum is 25. And you're allowed to play in one tournament-like setting, like a Maui tournament, for example. There's also going to be no conference tournaments, which I thought that was very interesting. So it looks like the regular season champ for the conference will get the automatic bid into the tournament, although it's not been confirmed. The tournament, as far as the amount of teams, locations, and style, will not change at this moment, which I'm fine with. The more normal, the better. So all in all, I'm in favor of this change for a couple of reasons. One is in November, no one cares about watching college basketball except for the diehard fans. Like for me, when it comes to college basketball, like November, December stuff, I'm only watching my favorite teams type of thing until football's over with and I can focus more on all the other teams. But like I'm not focused on it in November, so this is excellent to get rid of games out, and I hope this is actually a thing that they continue on in the future. It's like just always start the season around Thanksgiving time versus the beginning of November, because again, no one cares. Another reason why I like this plan is because it creates a little more sense of urgency. So, for example, if you're like a mid-major team, you're not going to get a lot of good non-conference games because most of your games are going to be conference, since you can only play in between 13 and 25. So let's say you play like 15 conference games. That means maximum you can only play 10 more non-conference games, but you're probably not going to reach that maximum unless you only get to play, like, let's say, 5 or 6 non-conference games. So let's say 1 or 2 of those is actually gets quality point. You got to make those count. So kind of like how the MLB and NBA is with the shorter season now for this season, it creates a little more sense of urgency, which makes it a little more fun. Like I'm glad I don't follow Major League Baseball. I'm glad they're almost done already and about to be in the playoffs. Like in the NBA, it was fun to see both Phoenix and Portland with that sense of urgency in the bubble, try to get that playoff spot. So for all the bubble teams, for the teams that are usually locked, like Duke and stuff, you may not see too much of a sense of urgency, but for teams like BYU, VCU, or something like that, they're going to be more urgent. It's going to be fun to see. So now the one thing I will admit that does stink is for the mid-majors like a VCU or Northern Iowa or something. You need all the good non-conference games you can get in order to have a good enough resume to be under consideration. If you did win your conference, you're only at consideration for an at-large bid. Because at this point, if you're like a Kansas or a Duke, you got a good enough strength of schedule based off your conference alone. So why would you go schedule risky games in non-conference? If it's a difference between being a 1 or 2 seed for Kansas, as far as did you go schedule a non-conference, I think they'll be fine with the 2 seed versus a 1 seed. I honestly do. So the NCAA has acknowledged actually that they do realize this is kind of a disadvantage for the mid-majors and try to figure out a solution. I doubt they'll come up with one because it's pretty hard, but we shall see. So again, besides feeling sorry for the mid-majors, I like this plan. I'm not worried about basketball as much as football because it involves less players, and then you can sort of create bubble styles for season tournaments or the March Madness tournament. So I'm confident this will work out. You won't see as many postponements, I think, like you are seeing in college football so far. So next is I want to talk about some player injuries that's been going on in the NFL recently. So for the Buccaneers, wide receiver Godwin is going to be in concussion protocol for a few weeks. Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas is likely out for a few weeks with a high ankle sprain. 49ers cornerback Richard Sherman is on IR and is out for a few weeks, probably a month, maybe a month and a half. Tight end George Kittle is questionable for this week. Cowboys linebacker Van Der Esch is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Le'Veon Bell is IR for who knows how long with a hamstring issue. So you may be hearing these injuries and thinking, oh, it's over for those teams. For the Jets, it is. But hold the phone here. There are season-ending injuries that hurt a team like running back Mack for the Colts, who's going to be out, and the tight end Jarwin for the Cowboys. Like those type of things hurt. It's like you can freak out about. But it's like don't freak out about all the injuries. For example, Godwin is out for maybe 2 weeks max with the concussion problem. The Bucks still have Mike Evans. Their other receiver Miller and the slot receiver showed promise against Saints. And you got O.J. Howard and Gronk still. So you still got plenty of weapons for Tom Brady to throw to. And you're playing Carolina this week, which is a bad defense. And you're playing in Tampa. So you don't need to stress out there. You're going to be fine. Now, with Michael Thomas, has a high sprain. He's out for 3 weeks max, people. They face the Packers in 2 weeks, which that'll be tough without Michael Thomas. But they face the Raiders this week. And then after the Packers, if Thomas is still, they play the Lions. Both bad defenses. So again, you gotta relax there. You're gonna be just fine. Now you may say Richard Sherman is a key piece of the 49ers defense. Yes, you're not wrong, but the 49ers still have an excellent D-line, and they have good linebackers. He also faced the Jets and the Giants, and a riddled Eagles team, and the Dolphins. So yes, 49ers fans, you will be just fine. Injuries are part of playing football. When a star player gets injured, you have to look at A, the severity, and B, the schedule. If you can say not bad for both of those categories, then your team should be just fine. So something I want to do is I want to go over my top 10 teams for college football after week 2. The rankings came out recently for college football, and Clemson, no surprise, they number 1. There's no surprises here because they're still keeping a lot of the SEC teams here or other teams that have not played yet. There's a lot of new ones though, like Miami's now ranked team, same with Louisville, Louisiana, BYU, Army, Appalachian State, Pittsburgh. It's a bunch of interesting options. And now the Big Ten playing, I'm not sure if the Big Ten's going to be on the point next week or if they're going to wait towards the beginning of their season in order to do so. That'll be interesting to see. But I'm going to go ahead and go over my top 10 teams right now. And for this list specifically, unlike the AP poll, I'm only including teams that have played at this point, even if it's against a bad team. I've only included teams that have played at this point, so no Alabama yet and no Florida yet and stuff like that. So number 1, Clemson. They took care of business against Wake Forest, an actual decent P5 opponent versus a Missouri State, aka Oklahoma. So they made Wake Forest look lost on both offense and defense, but especially offense. I picked Clemson to win it all this year. So far, they're doing their part. 2, I got Texas. They routed Utah as expected. What I saw, there was a team that appears to shake off that 8-5 season off of them, and they're going to win the Big 12 this year, in my opinion, or at least be a threat with Oklahoma. Like Sam Ellinger's his senior year, and I feel like he's going to be the quarterback to beat. 3, I got Notre Dame. This was a good game until the fourth quarter, where Notre Dame started to pull away and show their dominance. It was a good test for Notre Dame coming out of the gate because Notre Dame's not playing a Citadel or Missouri State or something like that. It's like they're playing Duke. While Duke's not a world beater, they're still a decent opponent within the ACC conference, especially with Chase Bryce, their quarterback now. They should be having a decent year because I feel like he's going to be a pretty good quarterback. And I mean, they came out sluggish and stuff, as a lot of teams I expect are, but when the fourth quarter came around and it was time to put them away, they took care of business. So that's a sign of a good team right there. Let's see if they can win the tougher competition though, against like a North Carolina and Clemson and stuff. Speaking of North Carolina, I have them ranked 4. I was surprised after the first half how close it was, kind of like Notre Dame. It was only 7-6, but then North Carolina started to pour it on and took it and won easily. So this ACC race will be very interesting this year. No more Clemson automatic wins with Notre Dame and North Carolina in the mix. 5, I got Oklahoma. Now, a lot of people would put them higher, and I feel like they are higher, most likely than like a North Carolina or something. But again, you played Missouri State. Man, who cares? Because they're only playing Big 12 football, I mean, Oklahoma's not going to be facing like good defenses. But and the Big 12 is not really known for playing defense. But if TCU, for example, is always a pretty good defensive team usually within the Big 12. So if Oklahoma can put up 50 against TCU defense, now you're talking. 6 would be BYU. They demolish Navy. You don't demolish service academies unless they're horrible, which I don't think Navy is, but time will tell. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country, and even though they already got the injury bug and now COVID bug, if the rest of the players can stay healthy with their easy schedule, they can make a New Year's Six bowl game, even with the Big Ten back in. Well, they just can't have these slip-ups that they tend to get every year, it seems like. 7 will be Memphis. Well, Memphis beat Arkansas State by 2 scores, and then Arkansas State beat Kansas State, which means that was a pretty good win by Memphis after all. So I guess Memphis is so far still looking for a good for the G5 candidate to return to New Year's Six bowl game, but time will tell. We'll wait and see. 8 Louisiana. They just beat a top 25 team in Iowa State by 17 at Iowa State, even though there's no fans there. And Iowa State was a lot of people's dark horses to win the Big 12 this year. So that is pretty impressive. So expect Louisiana. So don't expect Appalachian State to just automatically win the Sun Belt this year. It looks like Louisiana is going to be some serious competition there. 9 is Miami. Houston transfer quarterback Derek King looked good in his Miami debut. I think Miami finally has a QB that can make them contenders in the ACC. The big game this week will help them decide to buy into the hype or not, though. Now, King has some limitations, which is why I feel like they won't win the ACC like Clemson or Notre Dame, but they can definitely make some noise. And then 10 is their opponent they're going to face this week in Louisville. The reason why they get in over Pittsburgh is Louisville beat who was bowl eligible team last year was Kentucky, is decent, and Pittsburgh dominated an FCS team in Austin Peay. So Pittsburgh can end up being still like a 6-5 team, not relevant. So Louisville has the potential here to play spoiler. Will they do it? I'm not sure. But I believe they can, though. I hope this will be a fun, entertaining game to see what happens here. And real quick, I just want to talk about the Bengals and the Browns game tonight. So if you're the Browns, you have to win this game. Because if you don't, your season's over. Yeah, that's putting it lightly, but your season's over. Because you got an easier opponent this week, and then I forgot who it was next week. It was, but I remember it was a hard opponent. And then you get the Cowboys after that at Dallas. It's like, you're in danger. If you lose to the Bengals tonight, you're going to start 0-4 automatically. Now, the schedule will lighten up over time, but getting off to that bad start is not going to look good. That's why the Browns are talking about potentially trading Odell Beckham Jr. So if you're the Browns, you got to win today. But if you're the Bengals, I wouldn't mind getting upset. So have at what you will. And now I'm also looking forward to the NBA playoff game tonight between the Heat and the Celtics. We'll see if Celtics are able to bounce back after that close loss and see if we're going to have another close games in our hand or if fatigue's going to start to settle and maybe we'll have to wait and see there. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel. Tell everyone about me. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful weekend of watching sports. Thank you.